dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, it's 6:30. I'm Will Puckett.
And I'm Cassidy Strickland. Thank you so much for waking up with us on this Friday morning. A little bit of a chilly start as you get ready to head out the door.
Yeah, a chilly start as far as it feels like temperatures go, and that wind is going to makes that a big factor. So let's toss it over to Brandon, who'll give you a better breakdown of the feels like temperatures that you're going to see this morning. And Brandon, we didn't get your sun that you predicted yesterday, but there's still maybe some hope today that we'll see it.
Yeah, I think so, because I've got proof this morning. The clouds are already clearing out. Yesterday, bad break for us. I was hoping some of those clouds would start to clear out yesterday afternoon, but the light snow just kept coming. Let's take a look at the camera network starting in Pikeville this morning with the Pikeville Medical Center camera, and you can see not a bad start to the day. Nice and quiet, at least this morning. A few flurries still floating around there. UVA-wise, just across the border there in Southwest Virginia, still cloudy. You can see it there, kind of low-hanging clouds this morning. And again, a few flurries possible. Outside WYMT, a quiet start to the day here in Hazard, and I think most of the day is going to be pretty quiet. You can see the clouds backing off on the satellite and radar right there. Almost half of the region clear now, but some still flurries showing up there on the last end of the loop there right at 6 o'clock. So we're going to continue to see that as we head to the first part of your day. Temperatures clearing and temperatures cooling with the clearing there. 23 in Moorhead, 21 in Richmond, teens in Central Kentucky, still mid to upper 20s across a big chunk of the area, but those wind chills frigid this morning. Feels like 12 in Moorhead, 14 Jackson and Hazard, 16 in Harlan, in single digits in Central Kentucky. Across the region, look where that front is to continue to dive through there. 16 Owensboro, Paducah at 19, and 16 in Louisville and Cincinnati, still 20s and 30s out to the east of it. Forecast for today, sun and clouds, 28 this afternoon. We'll see maybe close to 30 in spots, 19 tonight under mainly clear to partly cloudy skies. The rest of the forecast is on the way here in just a few minutes. Cass?
All right, we'll check back in with you here shortly. Thank you, Brandon. Well, the Florida man accused of killing 5 people inside of a bank made his first court appearance yesterday. Zephan Zaver faces 5 counts of felony capital murder. Police say the 21-year-old opened fire at a bank in Sebring, Florida, about 100 miles from Orlando. They say Zaver called 911 himself after the shooting. He barricaded himself inside the bank before he later surrendered. A neighbor who knows the suspect says he never showed any signs of violence.
I darn sure did not remotely get any type of inquiry that he was dangerous or would do anything to hurt anyone.
State records show Zaver was training to be a prison guard but recently resigned. Police say all the victims were women. Only 3 have been identified. Marisol Lopez, a bank employee, Anna Pinion Williams, also an employee, and Cynthia Watson, who was a customer.
A missing 3-year-old boy has been found alive days after he vanished from his grandmother's home in North Carolina. Teams trudged through heavy rain and rough terrain in North Carolina looking for Casey Lynn Hathaway. Authorities had feared the worst as temperatures dropped to life-threatening levels. But thankfully, police found Hathaway alive following a 3-day search.
In Indiana, a school superintendent was booked on felony charges after she said she tried to help a sick student. Casey Smitherman was arrested last week for insurance fraud, identity deception, and official misconduct. She says 2 weeks ago she took a 15-year-old student with a very sore throat to a medical clinic and passed him off as her son because he did not have insurance. She then paid for the visit and a prescription with her own health insurance. Last Saturday, Casey told the police what she'd done and turned herself in. Officials say she did the right thing the wrong way.
I think there have to be some consequences, but they shouldn't be career jeopardizing. I think there's a way to take care of that without destroying her career because her motives were good.
I'm not justifying what I did, but I also think it's hard to think about looking in the face of that sick kid. And so until you're in that boat, you don't know.
She is now in what's called a diversion program that will allow the charges to be dropped if there are no further arrests in the coming year. Casey says that's a good bet.
What a great thing she did. Well, it appears the longest government shutdown in history is going to head into a 6th week after senators failed to put an end to the stalemate yesterday. As CBS's Mark Liverman reports, today is another difficult day for the 800,000 federal workers not getting paid.
35 days into the partial government shutdown, hundreds of thousands of federal workers are missing a second paycheck today.
I shouldn't have to go into my savings because they're fighting about a border wall.
As expected, dueling measures to reopen the government failed in the Senate yesterday.
2 show votes, and my hope is that after that, it will allow us to really get down to work.
Shortly after, bipartisan talks between lawmakers ramped up.
I'm prepared to listen to anyone in order to get government opened.
Mitch McConnell's meeting with Chuck Schumer.
At the White House, President Trump said he'd support a reasonable agreement, but didn't back away from the main sticking point.
We have to have a wall in order to have border security. You cannot have border security without a wall.
He suggested a prorated down payment to start paying for it, but most Democrats remain firmly against the border wall.
How ludicrous it is that this government is shut down over a promise the President of the United States couldn't keep.
Meanwhile, federal workers are flocking to food banks to get by.
Well, I know they are, and I don't really quite understand why.
Commerce Secretary and multimillionaire Wilbur Ross said they should just take out loans.
We have not gotten paid at all, and I think the most stressful part is just pushing our bills back. Some companies are understanding, some companies are not understanding.
President Trump said he's looking at alternatives to fund the wall, an apparent reference to declaring a national emergency. Mark Liverman, CBS News.
Now, the president had backed off declaring a national emergency earlier this month, but it appears to be back on the table for Mr. Trump as the shutdown drags on.
As leaders on Capitol Hill try to work on a compromise, around 100 workers at Bluegrass Airport in Lexington are struggling to pay their bills. So some co-workers are stepping up to the plate. They are bringing food and other supplies to a makeshift food bank.
I can't imagine being one check away from not being able to support my family. And, you know, you can say what you want to about the politics of it, but real people are hurting. We have to take care of them. We got to take care of them.
Donations can be dropped off weekdays from 8 in the morning until 5 in the evening. Everything can be handed over to the information booth.
Well, so far, three Democrats and 2 Republicans have filed to run for governor of Kentucky. State House Democratic leader Rocky Atkins is the latest candidate to officially jump in the race. He joins Attorney General Andy Beshear and Jeff Young on that side of the ticket. Former State Auditor Adam Edlin announced his campaign, but he has yet to file the paperwork. On the Republican side, Governor Matt Bevin still is not officially filed, but continues to vow that he will.
And I will be a choice that people will have. And
now the other Republican candidates, State Representative Robert Goforth and William Woods. Congressman James Comer says he plans to run for governor if Governor Bevin elects not to run for re-election. All candidates have until 4 p.m. on Tuesday to file with the Secretary of State's office.
Well, it's a new year, and in Frankfort, a new chance to pass a pension bill. Right now, Kentucky's system faces a $40 billion deficit. Kentucky teachers want to be part of the solution. They met with lawmakers yesterday in Frankfort as part of a group discussing the issue. Education leaders say they want to keep their plans and not switch to Social Security, but it is still a heated issue.
Disdain for educators by some doesn't help the conversation. We want to be collaborative.
Let's drop the disdain issue because we do love teachers. And I found it personally offensive that, you know, only certain members could have "we love teachers" because I love teachers.
You can watch the full recap of that meeting on our website. The General Assembly is currently on a break. They will gavel back into session February 5th.
Well, some good news for students who want to become Kentucky teachers. They will have some help paying for college. The Department of Education announced a new loan forgiveness program yesterday. It's called the Kentucky Academy for Equity in Teaching. State leaders say it's designed to support the next generation of teachers. Their hope is to cut down on the teacher shortage in the state. There are some guidelines to the program, however. The deadline to apply is February 13th.
Back in eastern Kentucky, the Floyd County Sheriff's Office wants to warn people of a new scam. Deputies say a 1-800 number is calling people, telling them their Social Security card was stolen. They go on to say the victim will have to pay for a new card. If you get this call or any suspicious calls, you are asked to report them to your local sheriff's office.
Well, for the first time, a needle exchange program is now being offered in Laurel County. The program was approved last year and began 3 weeks ago. Health officials and counselors hold office hours for the program every Thursday from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. The exchange is 1-to-1, meaning syringes can only be given to people who bring them in. But health officials say one way this program is unique is the fact that people who come in are also tested for Hep C and HIV and are offered hepatitis A shots for free.
When we collect those used syringes, that's also keeping them off the streets. So you can have an innocent person, you know, in the summertime out playing in the schoolyard or in the parks that can get stuck with one of these syringes and actually contact hepatitis C.
The Laurel County Health Department is also holding a hepatitis A vaccine clinic this Saturday from 9 to noon, where they will be offering free Hep A shots to people who are underinsured or uninsured at no cost. Well, 6:40 this morning, coming up on Mountain News this morning, people say it sounded like an earthquake when a huge sinkhole opened up in California.
We continue to track multiple chances for rain and snow over the next few days. I'll tell you when the best chance of seeing some snow on the ground will be in about 3.5 minutes.